It's the final hour before John William King enters the death chamber for execution. I'm Erica Harris, a live report from Huntsville. Coming up.
Tonight begins the vigil for James Byrd Jr. here in Jasper, Texas. I'm William Blanchett, and we'll have a live report coming up.
Tonight, 12 News has all your coverage of the John William King execution. Tonight, all eyes are focusing on the execution of this man, John William King, the ringleader in the dragging death of James Byrd Jr. Good evening to you. I'm Kevin Steele. In just under an hour, King is set to get the death penalty for a crime that shook the nation more than 20 years ago. 3 men chained Byrd to the back of a pickup truck in Jasper and dragged him to his death. Anchor Erica Harris, along with our digital team, is in Huntsville tonight, where King is set to be executed. Erica, give us an idea of what has been going on with King today.
Yes, Kevin, right now, the area of the wall unit where the death chamber is, there is now police tape up. No one other than the media and those who will witness the execution are allowed in. And for those witnesses, we've learned today that 2 of Byrd's sisters and a niece will be there to witness the execution of John William King. He will be put to death for the 1998 dragging death of James Byrd Jr. We learned some new information today about the hours leading up to this execution. The director of communications here at the Huntsville unit told us that he had a conversation with King, and he describes it as nondescript. He says that he did not request any of his final phone calls that he would be able to make, nor did he leave any final messages for anyone. Most importantly, he showed no signs of remorse. I'll talk to him also about what would it be like. Is it anything like the movies? Jeremy Diesel said this is not Hollywood, anything but, that King is only about 10 feet away from his death chamber. He will be escorted there, and that's when he will be put to death.
Just in the way that the death house is set up here, it really is only about 10 feet from the holding cell where Mr. King is at the moment to the death chamber itself where the gurney is. And more often than not, those offenders, take those 4 or 5 steps on their own and climb onto the gurney themselves.
There are also some documents that I went over. It's called the Death Watch. And what I've learned by reading those documents over the last 3 days, King mostly spent time on his bunk, going through his property. Once again, we're just less than an hour away from the execution. At 4 o'clock was his last meal, and we're still going to wait to hear from those witnesses later on tonight. But for now, I'm Erica Harris, live in Huntsville, 12 News.
Erica, thank you very much. Now, tonight, 12 News has team coverage of the staggering crime that led to today's execution. In moments, 12 News reporter Kelsey Johnson will dig deeper into what has been happening in court in this case. It's been ongoing for more than 20 years, of course. But first, our William Blanchett is live in Jasper, where a prayer vigil is being held. Will, that community has been through so much.
Yeah, Kevin, they really have. A lot of people I spoke to here in Jasper say today's vigil is not really about justice for James Byrd Jr., but they believe that the prayer is going to help people move on. They're tired of the way this city's labeled as a racist city. They say the crime shouldn't define the people here. They've grown tired of how this heinous crime 2 decades ago has shined a negative light on the city over the years. Now, just a year after the murder, their family created the Byrd Foundation for Racial Healing, which raises money for diversity training, scholarships, and other endeavors. Now, those funds were used to raise money for playground equipment here at James Byrd Jr. Memorial Park, which is just located less than a mile from where his body was found the morning of 1998. Now, one person I spoke to today is say it's time for the city to move on.
It becomes a pattern with you. You would think that this is all that we're all about, and that's not what life is about. So we just need to learn to forgive and move on.
Now, the vigil officially begins 6 o'clock tonight at the park named after Byrd on Butch Street. We plan on being here live, and we do also plan on speaking to more people who attend. We're live in Jasper. William Blanchette, 12 News.
Thank you very much, Will. Now, several of you have been asking why King got the death penalty when co-defendant Sean Berry got life in prison. Reporter Kelsey Johnson has been working to uncover answers and joins us now with more on that. Kelsey?
Today I spoke with Criminal District Court Judge John Stevens. He was one of the special prosecutors on the case. He tells me that the evidence stacked against King was substantial and prosecutors proved he was a danger to society. Judge Stevens says that both John King and Lawrence Brewer were devout bigots, and they both signed documentation swearing their oaths to white supremacy. He says King had tattoos on his body showing his devotion to the group. Those tattoos you're seeing in this video here. And while Sean Berry was there the night of the crime, he had no prior convictions in the case and was the one to tell officials who all was involved. Now, it took 7 months for the team working on this case to stack evidence against King and the others. A crucial piece of evidence against King was when James Byrd Jr.'s DNA was found on King's shoe. Judge Stevens tells me while in prison, kite notes passed between Brewer and King were intercepted, and they used that information in the case.
In those notes, they were bragging to each other about how proud they were to be the focus of attention representing white supremacy in this, and they took great pleasure in being accused of this crime.
In a prior conviction, King was sentenced to 10 years in prison for 1 count of burglary, but was released on parole in about a year before Byrd's murder. Coming up at 6, John Stevens explains William King's reaction in the courtroom when he was convicted. Hear what he has to say when asked about a question about James Byrd Jr.'s family. In studio, Kelsey Johnson, 12 News.
All right, Kelsey, thanks so much. 12 News has your coverage of the events surrounding the execution. Throughout the evening, we will have live reports from Huntsville and Jasper. Stay with 12 News tonight.
Potential for showers and thunderstorms moving into our area late tonight, and some of those could be severe. Right now, we are watching those showers and storms in a line. Nothing over us right now. In a line off towards our northwest, over towards Bryan College Station, you can see there is a severe thunderstorm warning there. Otherwise, it looks like after about 9 o'clock tonight, this line has moved a little bit quicker and it's developed a little bit earlier. So it looks like after about 9 o'clock, we ought to start seeing some parts of the area being affected by showers and storms. Currently, temperatures are in the mid to upper 70s, and our forecast this evening calls for those rain chances to gradually go up as we head towards 10 and also in towards midnight. More on your forecast coming up shortly.
All right, Patrick, thanks so much. Police say Grammy-nominated rapper and Port Arthur native Bun B shot a robber at his Houston home last night. Bun B shot the masked robber after the man pulled a gun on his wife after she answered the door. The robber demanded valuables, and she offered up her car keys. Bun B heard the disturbance from upstairs, grabbed his gun, and shot the robber as he fled in his wife's car. The rapper is not going to face any charges. The suspect was later arrested at a Houston area hospital with a gunshot wound to the shoulder. Suburban Chicago, the body of an Illinois 5-year-old boy has been found, and his parents are now under arrest. The body of A.J. Friend was found in a shallow grave after he went missing last Wednesday. The parents were once questioned on neglect allegations. Now they are charged with murder. The death toll in the attacks on Easter in Sri Lanka has risen to 359 dead now, and now authorities say several attackers remain at large. They are considered armed and with explosives. ISIS claimed responsibility. The U.S. Embassy in Sri Lanka said overnight the FBI is now on the ground to help assist the investigation. Still to come here in just moments, a scam on Spectrum. It appears the claims coming from Silsby next.